This session is on water resource management. Water is very important for all living organisms. Every human body is having 70% water. In each ecosystem, there is importance of water. India is very fortunate that we have sufficient water. We have Himalayas, which is tallest tower of water resources. It is also called as third pole. Today, water scarcity is affecting 40% of global population. Most of the water-related hazards, flood, drought, cyclones, take 70% of human life every year. If the water is in excess, it leads to natural disaster, and its deficiency causes drought and food insecurity in many parts of the world. Some important global facts related to water are: the estimates indicate that 40% of world population is living in water scarce area, and approximately 1/4 of world GDP is exposed to this challenge. By 2025, around 1.8 billion people will be living in regions or countries with absolute scarcity. Feeding 9 billion people by 2050 will require 60% increase in agriculture production. One very interesting thing, 300 aquifer systems are transboundary in nature. There are 276 transboundary basins shared by 148 countries, accounting to 60% of global freshwater flow. We all have studied about water cycle in our high school, but this cycle is very important in case we want to understand water resource management. We have to understand each and every aspect of water cycle at micro level, such as evaporation, precipitation, reservoirs, groundwater, surface water, water recycle, reuse, and other related things like water treatment plants, water tanks, water purifying plants, water desalination plant, water used for irrigation, for domestic use, for other development purposes. So we have to understand use of water in urban and domestic use, and that's why proper understanding of water cycle and at every level is becoming important. Today, managing urban water is becoming very important because 50% of our world population is living in cities. There is an estimate that by 2050, 70% of population will be living in urban areas. Fertility decreases with urbanization, and main issues are cities and specifically consumption of water resource. As we know, India consumes most of its usable water for agriculture purpose. About 85%, with household get only 5 to 15%. Per capita water consumption is also increasing as urbanization is increasing. Very well shown in the picture. If we compare India with other part of the world, we have more consumption of water in agriculture sector than other countries. If we minimize use of agriculture sector, it would be available for uses in industrial sector, and for human being in different sectors. This map is showing you the gap between existing supply and projected demand in 2030. The demand for water will rapidly increase. So we will have to plan how we manage water resources in this country. Water crisis may cause Third World War. There is a high water demand in a small area and integrated impact due to urbanization and lack of infrastructure. There are growing demand driven by demography, urbanization, rising income, and warmer climate. Reduced availability and quality due to less precipitation and runoff, more variability and contamination of sources. Transboundary rivers are a major issue. 90% of major rivers are shared. So we should understand the importance of this resource globally and resolve many issues that are existing today in sharing of water resources. Urbanization in developing countries is causing a scarcity of water because of water degradation. Urban development without proper water management, without proper infrastructure, causing environmental issues. There is high risk of water contamination through changes in land use patterns, poor solid waste management, inadequate sanitation, including wastewater collection and treatment, inadequate wastewater management and aging infrastructure. It needs a holistic approach, integrated management plan for water and integration around water cycle. Wastewater and stormwater should be treated as and reused. Sewage water should be treated and reused in crops or for horticulture. There should be integration in management of water required for urban, rural, agriculture, industry, and priced accordingly to availability and demand. Free water supply in any sector may cause wastage of this important resource. Land use planning and key urban services like solid waste, housing, transport, and other needs should be integrated with availability of water. Integrated planning and implementation is also important for stakeholder involvement instead of top-down and involvement of multidisciplinary planning teams. I think these are very important for holistic management of water resources. Main drivers of holistic approach for urban planning and land use, as well as improvement of quality of life and environment, there should be cross-sector tailored solution, coordinated execution, and integrated participatory planning. Unless and until we work together in different sectors, there cannot be holistic water resource management. When we discuss water resource management in urban area, there should be multiple layers of integration at national level, regional and local level urban administration, and involvement of other role players such as civil society, so that horizontal and vertical coordination is possible. Then river basin management starts from energy generation up to use in agriculture, use in fisheries, tourism, navigation, up to urban water cycle, need for integration within water sector and other urban sectors. We will have to see water supply, drainage system, flash flood and drought, water resource management, wastewater management, sanitation, and all these activities should be woven around each other activities such as housing, solid waste management, transport, land use planning, environment, industry, so that this multiple layer of integration can be resolved the issue of water scarcity in urban areas. In India, most important is agriculture water management. As we have already discussed that 60 to 85% of fresh water is used in agriculture. In case we minimize it, definitely we will have more water available for drinking purpose and for other development purposes. Making more rainwater available for crops, use of improved crop varieties, farm management, using economical irrigation practices, use of improved cropping systems, and agronomy's framework to provide incentive for adoption of best practices and new technology, rethinking of crop scheduling and cropping pattern in different parts of the country based on water availability. So I think in case we can have judicious use of water in agriculture, in urban areas, in rural areas, proper water resource management will be possible, and we can avoid problem of scarcity of water in this country. Thank you.